topping Donald Trump, the GOP frontrunner now surging to 38% ahead of the rest of the GOP in a new Washington Post ABC poll. He is taking center stage tonight because he is the leader. But can he keep up the leader image? Here to weigh in is Bruce Turkel, marketing maven, CEO of Turkel Brands. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. So there's a theory making the rounds out there right now that his support is even greater than the polls show because it is embarrassing to people to say that they support Donald Trump, and you kind of look over your shoulder and see who's listening before you say anything positive, and people don't want to admit they support him. So rather than it being smaller than, what people think, it's actually larger than what people think. What do you think about that theory?
That's a great theory. Donald Trump is a cartoon character superhero. He appeals to the sinking spirits of a significant swath of Americans across the board. We just heard it. People who are frustrated, people who think that this big guy, bigger than life, spit in the eye of the enemy, is someone they want on their side. And yeah, you know what? It might be a guilty pleasure. That's a great point. There might be lots of people who believe in him, at least feel good about what he's doing, but don't want to admit it in mixed company.
So, you're a marketing maven. How does he keep this going, and why does he not fade when he seems to say something over and over again that makes people respond and be outraged? And not just the media, because I understand beating up on the media is a positive for him and his followers because they don't trust the media. But people come at him from all sides, and then they sort of digest what he said, and his numbers go up. How does that keep happening?
There's a lot of reasons, but the main reason, and what we all keep forgetting because we try to look at this logically, we try to look at it historically with all our knowledge about elections, it works because he makes an emotional response with the people who are following him. And also, we tend to think that what he says is so over the top that in a lot of cases we give him the benefit of the doubt. The other day, he made anti-Semitic remarks. People were lambasting him for that, but then you say, but wait a second, his daughter's Jewish. Oh, come on. You know what? It's almost satirical. It's just hyperbole. But there are people who hear these different things and get turned on. Remember who he is. He's a boisterous, brash promoter, but he is a reality TV star. This is what he does. He has changed the Republican primary in his image.
A lot of that is true. The problem is when you drill down on a lot of the things that he says, they make sense. No, see, you thought I was going to say there's nothing there, but no.
I did.
You talk about the idea. So first of all, he says, maybe we should put a pause on letting people come in from Muslim countries until we figure out the situation. Then you look a day forward, and it turns out that one of the people that perpetrated the shooting in San Bernardino was somebody who came in on a visa and wasn't vetted properly. He looked downright prescient at that moment. We didn't have that information when he said that. And then somebody slides through, and Americans sit there and they go, you know what? Maybe he's not a lunatic. Maybe he's onto something there. He says things like, look, I'm spending no money and I'm winning. Isn't that the kind of person you want running the country? We need to turn the caliphate into a parking lot. Sounds over the top. Then people start thinking about it and they're like, wait a second, it makes sense. The problem is when it sinks in, it starts to make sense to people. No? You're shaking your head. No. Where did I go wrong?
When it sinks in, it starts to make people feel good because it reinforces either their basest motives or, as you said at the beginning of this segment, the motives they don't want to say in public. When it sinks in, lots of people are thinking, yeah, that's what we ought to do. If you stop and think about it, it doesn't make sense because of something called the Constitution. It doesn't make sense because of the way we've run this country. But people not the idea that we aren't vetting people's visas properly. So we should pause until we figure out how to check your Facebook and see if you've promised to come into the country and blow things up before we let you in. Those sort of things, that's not against the Constitution. He's not saying we should give people a religion test. That's sort of the other side taking his argument and trying to use it against him. When you really look at what he said, it actually made sense. No, I think you're adding a veneer of credibility by now thinking through it and now in your intelligent, knowledgeable, eloquent way making it make sense. I don't think that's what he's doing, and I don't think that's what many of his followers are doing either.
Bruce, you are the master. My hat is off to you. Thank you. That was very well done.
I loved how you turned.
I did see what he did.
He disagreed
and I loved it.
by
While
flattering you.
I know. I totally got it, and I loved it anyway.
He's brilliant.
Thank you.
He's a brilliant marketer.
That's why we have you on, Bruce. Thank you.
Boy, if Bruce and Trump ever got together, watch out.
My goodness.
Meanwhile, Ted Cruz once again responding to Donald Trump, who called him a maniac over the weekend. Now, of course, yesterday he tweeted that link to Flashdance. Today, he sent out this tweet. Getting ready for the debate tomorrow. Needed some inspiration. inspiration. That's good. This is a link to Chris Farley singing Maniac from the 1995 movie Tommy Boy. Wow.
That's pretty funny.
Funny stuff.
All right, GOP candidates ready to duke it out for the 5th and final debate of the year as heightened fears of terrorism paves a difficult